Hi, my name is Dean Allison, and welcome back to the Hill Update. As we start to get back to our normal routines, some of us realize that we had developed some bad habits over the last 18 to 20 months, working from home, gyms closed, and everyday life different than before. I know I developed some bad habits. So as we approach the new year, if we have not already, we should start thinking about our habits. What can we do to be better, to build a healthier lifestyle? Joining me on the show today is the owner and the founder of FSP Fitness and Coaching, Christa Baker. Christa is a personal trainer, a functional nutritionist, and does a whole host of other things fitness related. Christa, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Great to have you on here. So tell us a bit about the fitness business. Why did you get in? What was what prompted you, and what kind of training do you need? And then maybe we could talk a bit about what the last 18 to 20 months has looked like.
For sure. So I originally got into the industry because my mom was always into teaching me like different ways of taking care of my body, and I'm grateful for that. So when I became a mom, it became even more important to me, and just wanting to learn different options on, how to get healthy, how to just take care of my body, my mind, my soul. So I'm really excited that we get to talk about that today.
So tell me a bit about what the fitness business has looked like. I know you actually have a personal gym in your home, which obviously was shut down during the last 18 months. But there's been a number of things that have gone on. So just tell us what the fitness industry in general has looked like over the last little while.
Well, I think the fitness industry has always been quite confusing. But the last, 2 years, it's been, we were first to close and last to open. So we had to be pretty creative and crafty in order to extend health to others. So for myself, yes, I have an in-person gym that obviously closed. And being the wife of a frontline worker, we were extra careful. So that one thing we did notice is we needed to be able to reach people and still help them get healthy. So enters the online world of coaching. I became an online coach in 2018. So I already had some systems set up, which I was grateful for. And then, just really digging deep and trying to figure out ways to just reach others. So Zoom has been awesome, Facebook Lives and stuff. That's where it kind of started. But there's apps and different devices and stuff that have become very beneficial during this time.
Well, so I can imagine, the technology merging to help reach people because they can't be in person. So, in terms of your expertise, you do some coaching, but there's a whole host of things. What type of training would you have had to do to get into this biz? I mean, it's got to be a constant barrage of courses and a number of, certifications and things like that. What kinds of things were you trained in?
So originally, you're trained to become a trainer, right? I always, as a young girl, actually, I started assisting in classes when I was like 16 and then working in boxing gyms and just having fun and finding ways to connect with movement, because a lot of people relate to movement as like kind of torture. They don't have a healthy relationship. So I'm just constantly upgrading my education. I would have clients come to me that would have different needs. So like cancer survivors, or my mom, like she developed Parkinson's. So I wanted to like constantly like educate myself, just taking different courses, different places. And then also learning how to run an online business, because that's different. When people will come into the gym, you get to see them move, but then how do you make sure that they're moving well or staying on track without having them in person? So just constant education.
Sure. So, in terms of, what this has done to people, and we've got about a minute left in this segment. Mm-hmm. We are going to talk about the whole issue of mind, body, and soul, right, in terms of trying to be healthy. Talk to me in terms of what your experience was dealing with other people during this time. And I'm guessing that all three of those areas were challenged in a big way over the last 18 to 20 months.
Well, one thing I've noticed was just people really giving up and just feeling so like the isolation really got to a lot of people. Weight gain was a big thing. Every conversation I would have, it would be, I had one person gain 70 pounds during the pandemic. So it was like roughly 20, and it became a joke. It was like, oh, the COVID 19 pounds, and now it's the COVID 21 pounds. And people became a joke, but I did notice, like, on average, most people would gain up to like 30 pounds during this time. And that's...
Well, that's incredible. So we are going to talk about that when we come back from break. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about mind, body, and soul. Just some recommendations that you would have for us as we we're getting towards the end of the year, and then people will be looking at maybe reevaluating some of their habits and some of their things, and we'll give them a few ideas when we come back from break and things they can do to help make themselves better when we come back from break. Welcome back to the Hill Update. I am talking with Christa Baker, a health and fitness expert today. All right, so we talked about, before the break, the whole issue of mind, body, and soul. I've got an Ipsos poll here. It says, pandemic within a pandemic. Most believe there was a mental health pandemic in Canada. So 69%. So I think, why don't we start talking about the mind? I mean, the mind is a large part of what we can deal with or try and compartmentalize in our head. So just let's talk to us, what do we do and how do we get people when it comes to the mind component of our health?
So I think when it comes to the mental side of things, I think the most important thing to do is to dig deep and to figure out why it is that we want to get healthy. Like, why would it be important enough to you to make this decision to change a lifestyle? Because habits have been developed over time, right? So if your why is not more important, then the why not? So, and when I say that, I mean well, why not just go hit the snooze button? And why not just have that extra piece of cheesecake? And not that cheesecake is the enemy, it's generally in the amount that we have. So the mental aspect to exercise is just really reevaluating what we're doing here, why we're going to be doing it, and make sure that is just really, really strong enough to go back to always, because habits, it's really hard to change those habits. It just takes some time and patience.
Well, and that's part of the issue, there's so much going on in our heads. You just said that. We got so much going on during the day. We're pulled in 100 different directions. So what you're saying is part of the mind piece is we have to understand the why.
Right.
Why is it we want to do it? Because all those other distractions are inevitable and part of our lives, right?
Right. And I noticed that with people, when I get them to do that task first, because there's going to be a components of a program that they might not enjoy doing, and we have to always find something for them to enjoy doing, right? But if our mindset isn't in a place where we believe that we deserve it, that's a really deep one. A lot of people don't believe that they can do it. They've failed maybe on other programs or doing other, quick fixes, or they've bought that gadget, they've done this, and they just mentally don't think that they can do it. They're not worth it. They don't deserve to give themselves that time. So it's really important that we really dig deep into that.
Now, when we talk about the mind piece, is that also, setting goals? Because you talked about people thinking they don't deserve it or their mindset is not in the right place. Where does goal setting fit into that piece? Or
yeah, goal setting is a really, really important piece, but making sure that it's an attainable goal. So a lot of people go in guns a-blazing. I am going to quit this and do this and substitute that and never eat sugar again. And that is cause for failure, right? And we've already tried all those different fad diets. Why don't we just learn how to eat and enjoy what we're having and just not overconsume? I think, I've even worked with some clients before, and I literally, their task for the week would be just put your shoes on. And that's it.
So give them the chance to build a habit that's simple,
right,
and consistent, one at a time.
Right. And then it would be, okay, now just put the shoes on and stand out front. And then eventually that just becomes habitual and doable and attainable for that individual, because a lot of people really think that they have to give up and sacrifice everything. And that's not what health is. Health is just making one change every single day that's going to do better for you.
Perfect. Now, so that's a great idea in terms of just starting with small habits that could be attainable, right? It's something small like putting,
right,
just putting your shoes on. So what are other things that you try and do to help strengthen people's minds? Once again, lots of noises in our heads and, I don't feel worthy. I can't do it. I tried it before. It doesn't work. What are some of the things that you use with your clients to help them strengthen their minds in this mind piece of the equation?
So I have some clients that will I make it that they have to message me every time that they feel like they, I don't like to say they're having a weak moment maybe, or they're just feeling like they're not in that position to stay strong and work through this. I'll get them just message me, text me, and remind yourself of that why. Why did we decide to work together? Why is it that you want to be healthy? And it's just always goes back to that. That way we have the opportunity to just get to the root cause of the issue because the root cause is huge, and we have to make sure that we are constantly digging deep, because a lot of people, like, they don't believe that they deserve to feel good, right? Or they don't want to give themselves the time. I deal with a lot of moms and couples, which is, my niche, families, making sure that we can extend this to our generations. So just really digging deep on that, and then giving them tasks and making them. That's my job as the accountability partner, right?
That's good. Well, when we come back from break, we're going to talk a little bit more about the body piece, but it makes sense. You're suggesting a little bit of accountability,
Right.
and then understanding the why is very helpful in being able to start at least with the right mindset. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about the body piece. Welcome back to the Hill Update. I'm talking with Christa Baker, who owns her own health and fitness company. Christa, thanks for being on the show today. Another article I had, did we really gain weight during the pandemic? And this was a Harvard article. And you talked about the COVID-15 or 19 or 70.
Right.
And it refers to the COVID-19 in the article, saying that, how many people actually lost weight or gained weight or whatever it was. And they did say, it turns out in this study, over almost 40% of patients gained weight during the pandemic. So that is a thing. I mean, you talked about it in your break. So talk to us a bit. Now we're going to talk about the body piece, which is getting active and doing those things. And that was always a challenge, right? During the, people couldn't go to gyms or routines were disrupted. So now let's talk about the body piece of the mind, body, and soul.
Right. And I don't know why it just made me think about not even being able to go do the stairs. Like, all that stuff was blocked off and stuff. So the body piece is, first we want to find something that we enjoy doing. Because when we look at exercise as a form of torture or something that they just you're just, not enjoying doing. Not everybody likes exercise. Not everybody likes that, but we do need to move our body. So we have to find something that's right for you. And you're not a cookie cutter, right? So individually, we have to develop that healthy relationship with movement. Otherwise, we, fall it back into that depression side. So definitely just finding, like I said, we can start with just getting your shoes on. And then it's like, let's get that walk in then, right? We can go from couch to walking and start to lose weight. And then eventually you get to the point where you have to start doing more or trying something different and finding what it is that brings you joy and peace.
I think we all know that we need to exercise, right? I don't think there's anyone on the planet that doesn't believe that. However, even if we know it, that doesn't make it any easier doing it. So what you're suggesting is not try and, talk about, well, we got to bench press, 200 pounds or something crazy, but it's really the small steps that get us to be active again. So what does that look like? Is that just committing to a walk once a day or once a week or once a, what does that process of knowing I need to do something, being overwhelmed by the thought, to actually making that happen and being active?
Right. Well, first we're going to make sure that we remember this is why I'm doing it. And then move into, what's right for my body. So for some people, maybe they've come off of an injury. Maybe they've been, they don't want to learn how to move weights, or they don't have access to it. But eventually we have to get to a point where we're doing some resistance training, because we need to make sure we have enough muscle on our body, right? Especially as we age, there's a process happening there as well. So, we want to protect our joints. We want to make sure that we're moving in the right way and we're doing it in the right format. And then also making sure that, like the accountability piece, obviously, I think we're going to tie in definitely like with all of this, but, make sure that you're doing it the right way, right? Make sure you're doing what's meant for your body. And there's so many forms. I mean, people love CrossFit, and then people love walking and hiking and being in nature. And, I personally love lifting weights. It's just what makes me feel good. So that's what I do. And movement is key, and daily movement is key.
So, you did talk about one of the questions I had is that as we get older, you talked about the fact that we do need to do resistance training, right? And so what does that look like? As people age and our muscles shrink and atrophy and all those kinds of things, it becomes more difficult, balance and all these other kinds of things.
Right.
So for someone that hasn't really never done resistance training, they may be thinking, I'm in my house, do I have to buy a weight set? It's really not that complicated when you talk about resistance training.
Well, to be honest with you, resistance bands have been obviously amazing during the season, because weights were so hard to find and really overpriced. So, some people were blessed to have maybe a set of dumbbells or whatever it was at home, but just grabbing some resistance bands and learning how to use them. I've had clients be like, I didn't realize I could do all of this with this one band. And we start to take away excuses of not being able to do it when we're at the cottage. You can take those bands with you. You're not going to take a squat rack with you, right? So there's ways to implement all of that into your program, like moving forward, right? And definitely, like, the resistance training is key. Creating mobility in the body, stabilizing your joints in the areas that, like the knees and the hips and the shoulders. And then just making sure that we strengthen properly. We take it slow, let the little muscles do what they need to do. And then as soon as we build that muscle in the body, it increases your metabolism. So then you get to eat more. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense. And I think you mentioned something as well. When we're, if we're traveling, hotels, if we're going to the cottage, one of those things, we don't have all the equipment. So sometimes we think, well, maybe I can't do it. But what you're saying is, even with something as simple as resistant bands, we can actually do that. All right, when we come back from break, we're going to talk about the third piece, which is the soul piece. And as we tie all together mind, body, and soul when we come back from break. Welcome back to the Hill Update. I've got joining me on the show today, Christa Baker, who is actually a health and wellness expert. Christa, welcome, and thank you for being on the show. So here's what we tied all together. Okay. We talked about issues that we've had during the pandemic. We've talked about the whole issue of mind, body, and soul. So I guess as we talk about soul, one of those things is the why. Then, that's part of why do we do it. So what's your why? Why is it that what gets you going? What motivates you as we tie this all together?
So my why, and this one kind of shocks some people when I say it, but my why is I actually think it's selfish if I don't take care of myself. I have 2 little girls and I have a husband, and I want to see them flourish and live this beautiful life. But if I don't take care of myself, eventually they're probably, because that's just naturally what happens is, your family will take care of you if you're not well. And if I don't do the best job that I can with myself, then that means that they have to stop and take care of me because I decided not to. And it sounds a little deep, but at the same time, I think it's really important that we do what's best for us and make sure that our families get to do what they need to do in order to have their happy life. But when I do tie in like the soul piece, so finding connection and having people to do this with is really important, right? And obviously for me, like we've talked about it before, but my connection is with Jesus, and I do have an opportunity to honor my body because he's asked me to. And a lot of people would try to find different ways to connect on a spiritual level or a soul-filled level. And I find that that's really important for us to do.
Well, when you talk about the why again, we also realize that not everyone ages the same. So, you talk about the why again, and you look at people aging. We have young, like 90-year-olds that are still living on their own. We've got old 70-year-olds that are in nursing homes, right? So that's part of aging gracefully is the healthy piece.
So we are chronically living longer. Like we're living longer, chronically ill, right? We're having longer lifespan, but we're not well during that time. So for me, I'd rather live very vibrant right now while I can in a healthy way instead of just living longer sick.
Right. Well, and that makes a huge difference, right? Because now we're talking about quality of life. And as you mentioned, those that may have to look after you, right? If your health is in jeopardy or somebody needs to spend extra time and attention, right?
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm watching it every day, and I see people really trying to come out. Like, I remember reading a study, and it said there was 10 people that were diagnosed. The doctor gave them all the same, they said, you have 5 more years to live if you don't change these things, these behaviors. And the amount of people that would actually make those changes, the stat came back as 1. And that kind of made me think a lot. And I was like, well, maybe they just don't know how to get there. Maybe nobody's ever believed in them or gave them some form of true, real advice, and it's different for everyone. Dramatic things like we use drastic measures for a drastic case, right? So I just had a client of mine come off of, she's reversed her diabetes through exercise, so she doesn't have to take insulin anymore. And I'm so proud of her because, she had come to me and had some real big things, and I had to walk through that with her. It was tough because we had to go a little extreme because there was a lot going on inside of her body, and now to see this growth inside of her is so beautiful.
You know, that's almost maybe a topic for another day, but lifestyle and healthy eating is a means of healing your body. I
Right.
mean, you just hit the nail on the head. There's somebody that has had a disease and is using medication, but because of lifestyle changes, has now been able to reverse that. That's pretty powerful.
No more injections.
Wow.
It's huge. And I think that needs to be praised. And I remember having one of my oldest clients, she was 76, and you know, after 6 months, she was getting her checkup, and she was on this blood pressure pill for 14 years. And her doctor was like, okay, like, I'm checking again. And he did it. And she goes, he made me check it like 5 times.
Wow.
And then at the end of it, he's like, you don't need to be on this medicine anymore. And she's like, at 76. So I think a big message here is it's never too late, right? Like, we have gone through all this together. It's been really crazy, but it's never too late to really address your health.
Good. 15 seconds left. Any final thoughts before I wrap up?
I just find someone to just connect with and find the right person that's going to just walk through this process with you. And don't try to do it on your own. I would never try to fix my own plumbing. I would hire somebody for that job.
Well, Krista, thanks for joining us today. So as we look at today, what we've learned, we need to look at the health from a holistic point of view. We've got your mind, we've got your body and your soul. And remember, you don't need to do this alone. There are people out there, there are friends, and there are ways to be accountable and help with you journey as you journey on this together. Thanks once again for joining us on the Hill Update this week.